The interview of Alan Boxx, U.S. Army veteran.
Now we have with us Alan and Jennifer Boxx. And Alan, veteran, what stories he's got to go through. And Jennifer, his wife, supporting wife, she's been through quite a bit because of the health issues. And we're going to hear from both of them today about how things are going. So welcome both of you to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. My pleasure. Thank you. You were in the Army, correct?
Correct.
Okay. When were you in?
2010.
Now, what was if you can talk about it, what were you trying to do when you were in the Army for job wise?
I was in 11 Bravo infantry with the 101st Airborne. And I was stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky for most of the duration. And
There you go.
Training there in Georgia. At
Okay.
Fort
Tell us a little bit more about 11 Bravo, the kind of things you were training for.
So that's infantry and small arms tactics. That's for basically ground warfare. We train in everything down from your little pea shooter, 9mm, clear up to your Mark 19 grenade launcher. So we train for mounted and dismounted operations, as well as helicopter insertion and also parachute operations. So,
I understand you got quite a story about a parachute.
I did. I was there training at Fort Benning, and I was on my last jump, and I jumped out, and we were all on the plane together, jumped out, and I had got my chute open, made sure it was open, and noticed everybody was around me, and I had to get away from them. So pulled my riser, slipped away from them, and was able to get away from the 4 or 5 other people that were chasing me as the wind picked up, and realized I'm going in the complete wrong direction of where I need to go. So I pulled my risers in the other direction, and the wind tipped me and pulled the air out of my chute, and I came down pretty fast and pretty hard.
How high up were you?
I was close enough to see the ground, how quickly I was moving against it. So close enough that reserve wouldn't help, but too far up to be forgiving. So when I I had quite a spill.
I bet. So now when you did you just hit the ground, or did you hit trees, or?
It was a plow field. So that was about the only forgiving part about it.
Yeah. If there is a forgiving part. Now, what happened to you once you hit the ground?
So once I hit the ground, I had sustained a really bad break, tibia fibula, and also now that I know what I know now, I had messed up my back as well.
Okay.
So
I understand you had I don't know if it's a compound fracture or what they call it. What'd you call it, Jennifer, earlier?
An open fracture.
Open fracture. I'll get it one of these days. What's an open fracture?
So an open fracture is where it actually, the bones cut you open. So when you come down, the bones slide against each other, and they cause lacerations in muscle, tissue, and skin, and they cause cuts in your leg.
So could you actually see the bone?
Yes.
Oof, okay.
Yes, I had bled through my boots and my uniform.
And that was your last jump?
Unfortunately, yes, that was my last jump. So
did you qualified. I'm sorry, what?
He's still qualified for airborne though. So
oh, I bet. Yeah.
So
he's not going to give up, I can tell. But did you after that you hurt your leg, your back, your ankles? I'm sure your whole body was just probably aching. How long did it take you to recover from all that?
So when they rushed me in, they told me that if they didn't take me in surgery right away, that I was going to lose my leg. Flat out, they said, you have a ton of bleeding in there. We can't get reset. We can't get a pulse in your foot. If we wait any longer, you're just going to lose your leg. So they rushed me into the operating room and pretty much bypassed all of the other normal procedures of looking over head to toe and making sure that everything was in order.
Wow.
So
Now you healed to a certain point, right?
at a certain point,
Yeah, while you were
and a
still
lot
in
of the narcotics made so that I didn't really feel a whole lot. So even if I had something else that was messed up, I didn't know.
Okay. After all that, what I was getting to is, were you deployed ever?
I deployed to Afghanistan.
Kind of what I was thinking might happen. How long were you over there?
I was over there for a year.
Okay. Now, I'm sure you got to have some side effects from all this. You got to have some pain or something that you're still going through at that point, right?
That's correct. So pretty much after that, I had a residual back pain and leg pain, but just got to tough it out and make it through. So that's what we did.
Wow. Now, did you have missions over there where your life was in jeopardy at any given time?
Several times, yeah. We were on the Afghan-Pakistan border where there was pretty much nonstop fighting.
Yeah.
So it was one of those situations where they decided, back at the Pentagon, that would be a good idea to put an army base in the bowl. So it looked good on the map, but when you actually get there, you're like, wow, this is dumb. Why are we're surrounded by high ground?
Wow. Well, I also understand you have an accident in a tower.
Yeah. So we had, so to start off, I was on watch and the sergeant came up and we were looking down at this vehicle, nighttime, and it was raining. And a vehicle was approaching the wadi down below from where I was at. I was in the tower and we were just watching out for any signs of any enemy infiltration. And this little vehicle was driving up and we could see that it was driving rather erratically. And the sergeant that was on duty came up and was looking at it with me. And the contractors that were on the adjacent mountain started shooting at them. And we're wondering, well, what in the heck is up with that? They're flashing their beams, trying to get them to quit. And about that time, the enemy opened up on us from another hilltop. And we had immediately, we dropped what we had. We went to our alternate positions. I had the 240 Bravo. So I took that and I brought it over to the HESCO over there. I had one RPG that nearly missed me, that I could actually feel the rocket propellant coming off of it. And then another one hit right in front of it and, really ring my bell.
Wow.
And so luckily we were able to disperse enough fire out there that the enemy fled before anything too serious happened. We got lucky on several occasions like that. And we had some JDAMs dropped that were pretty close, another firefight and artillery that was dropped. So, it was definitely a very scary place to be.
I can only imagine. Now, you were if I understood this right, you were in a tower and the mortar hit and you fell out of the tower, or the tower fell down?
No, we called it a tower, but it was basically a fighting position that has HESCO barriers.
Okay.
But you got knocked out of the tower, though.
Yeah, I got knocked down, but
You're like a cat with 9 lives, I think. Here, this is awesome.
yeah.
Let's talk about our illustrious friends at the VA. Everybody smiles when they hear that. I understand from talking with Tim and Rita, with your permission, I could listen in on the conversations and talk to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You're going through quite a battle with the VA. Now, Jennifer, would you like to expand on that, or would you both of you?
Yeah. Well, with the VA, with his fracture in his leg, we applied for that, and when he ETS'd, and along with some other things, the shoulders and ankles and things. We at that point we didn't know about that his back was broken. We just knew he had pain. Um,
And I had gone in several times as well and, said, hey, there's a lot of pain radiating through my shoulders, from my back. And they looked at him and they said, well, does ibuprofen help? And, how about you just ice it? It's understandable that they're used to dealing with twisted ankles and stuff and nothing really serious. But, when you come across somebody who is serious, you can't just triage them unless if there is a very serious shortage of medical care.
yeah,
A
he had
broken
to,
back and ibuprofen.
Yeah,
That's
so-
unacceptable.
So I didn't know at the time when I broke my leg, because first of all, they had missed it, getting me through surgery, just trying to get my leg fixed. And I didn't know it because I was pretty much out of my mind on these narcotics that they gave me.
Yeah,
You could have shot me and I probably wouldn't have felt it.
probably. Yeah.
The amount of stuff that I had going through me. So it wasn't until later that I started to experience a lot of back pain, and it was not very pleasant. And so we had talked to the VA briefly, and initially it again got brushed off and just said, well, eat more ibuprofen, yada yada yada. But then I got with a provider that actually said, okay, we're going to take some pictures of this thing and see what you're actually complaining about. And so they took me into the back and did an x-ray, and he was quizzing me. He's like, were you ever in a car accident, or did you fall off a two-story building? Like, what happened to you? Because this break isn't normal, especially for somebody as young as you. People don't just do this. And so we started trying to get the ball rolling to get that going. But doing the MRI and all the other treatments to it, it just got to be too expensive, especially where I didn't have a rating for it and the VA wouldn't give me one. So for a while there, because I have my own insurance and they wouldn't cover me, I just had to give up and just say, well, I'm stuck with my back problems until I get good insurance.
well, what happened was he had an MRI with the VA to look at his back. And so, and we're like, well, yeah, this probably resulted from his airborne injury. And they're like, and even the radiologist was like, yeah, that'd do it, because he's got a compound fracture from T7 to T11. So
That's a few inches.
yeah.
Yes. So T8 and T9 are the worst. So
Yeah.
that's where I have a really bad break in there.
Yeah.
And so the canal for the nerve is narrowed. So as long as I'm not out there moving, it's okay. But as soon as I start to move that joint, start to articulate it, start to twist, bend, turn, bend, it starts to flare up. I start to have severe back pain. And I went into a rheumatologist, and he said, oh, you have this back injury, or, you have something. And I'm like, yeah, I do. And, the VA said it's probably, a genetic condition. He's like, oh, so they did blood work and confirmed it. I'm like, no, they didn't. And he's like, well, there's no way to know that. I wouldn't know that, and I'm a rheumatologist. The only way to know if it's genetic factored is to do all the blood tests. So we got all the blood tests, all the blood work done, and he said, whatever this was, it's not genetic. This is from trauma.
This is an outside doctor, right?
Right.
Okay.
And at the same time, I'm seeing a back surgeon because, you know, the pain's getting pretty severe in my back. And he said, well, you know, the good news is that, you know, you're not paralyzed or crippled from this thing, which you very well easily could be from that. But the bad news is that I'm not going to touch you because of what I would have to do to get in there. I would have to collapse your lung and cut you from the front to get into where the spine is broken. To
Get into
clear
the
all,
front of you to get to the back of you.
to fix the spine
Wow.
because of where it's at.
It's
Is,
on
it,
the
is there any kind of success rate on that? Do you know? They talk about that.
There's a fatality rate. So I don't know if there's a success rate, but there is a fatality rate. He said, I think it was 5%.
Well,
So-
they say the word fatality. So, yeah, I'm not getting it. I'm out. You know, that's
there's only one civilian doctor that will do that in the state of Utah. And it's very risky to
sounds like it.
have a patient on a ventilator with one lung doing this major surgery.
Wow.
They have to fuse him from probably 6 to 12 to get him to be to repair that, and that's the mobility that he would lose would be too much. Like it's pretty much inoperable. But with the VA, back to the VA when they did the initial MRI, because it wasn't service connected, they billed us for it.
So we got all those bills in the mail.
And it went to collections. So we ended up having to, I think it came to about $3,000.
Along with all the other treatment.
With that. And it was really hard. And at that time, we had 4 kids that were under the age of 5, I think.
Whoa.
I don't think Lila was yet 5.
So, you know, just waiting on them for them to decide they're going to work just wasn't in the cards.
Now, they wouldn't even work with you and say, you know, let's work out a payment plan, or let's see what there's other programs that can help pay for that or anything.
They garnished his benefits.
What benefit? Your
His,
military benefits?
Yeah, they garnished his VA disability benefits. At that point, we had been, I think you were at 50% then, but they only took like $100 a month, but it ended up being a long time that we had his benefits garnished to pay them back.
That's incredible. I mean, I've heard a lot of crazy things about how the VA treats our veterans. And I know they've had me listed as deceased 4 times and applying for my disability benefits. And it's been 6 years now. But to do that to you, that's, thanks for your service. Here's a bill. Now let's screw up your credit at the same time. I mean, really, what were they thinking? Did anybody say anything about that at all? Like, well, you know, how'd they treat you? First of all, were they good about it?
Salt Lake City is the VA that we go to, and the people there, like the actual techs and the people working there, were good. It was like more the people in the offices back east that we had to call, like in the financial department and stuff, that it was hard to get a hold of somebody. Getting this person every time was,
you know, we can't help you, but we understand.
We empathize with you, but there's nothing we can do. Not really. So we've been battling with them since then to get Alan's back service connected. We finally, through the help of Tim and Rita, and we've been working with Tim and Rita for almost 2 years now.
Okay.
And we finally got Alan's back service connected through having multiple doctors look at Alan and having just the right wordage in their medical notes